Hey folks, welcome to the show. Just wanted to do a quick channel business before before I get into the game review, because I'd like to know your thoughts on it. Though I feel like my mind's made up already, but I would like to know people's thoughts if they have any extra thoughts about the subject. Is that I'm thinking about changing my name on the channel, not my personal name. I'm happy with Isaac West, I'm I'm happy with settling the West. I like the name quite a bit for various reasons, most notably because of the pun there on my last name. But the channel has been exclusively hockey. I've only ever thought about one video that wasn't hockey related, and I'm still thinking about it. It's a Spinosaurus rant. But when I created the channel, I had intentions of expanding outside of hockey, but I didn't want to overextend myself. And so now I have no intentions of ever doing anything outside of hockey, at least for the time being. So I'm thinking about changing the name to something more hockey related, and particularly to capitalize on the new fans coming in from Utah. I'd imagine there was a lot of new fans from Nevada that increased viewership for a lot of hockey channels when the Vegas Golden Knights joined the league, including perhaps most notably the Hockey Guy. And being half Utah myself, I would love to be there and help a lot of Utah fans get into the sport, not just to help them enjoy the sport I love, but two, to also benefit off of it. But that's okay. It's not like I'm exploiting them or anything. But anyways, so I thought that would be important, and that's not to say I would leave the Oilers or anything and completely focus on Utah. No. I like talking about all the teams, and I would still focus primarily on the Oilers because I live 30 minutes west of Edmonton. So anyways, for now it's just going to be a name change, and I've been thinking about Rocky Mountain Hockey is what I thinking about going with. I like the name. I love the Rocky Mountains. I've been visiting them my entire life. All the teams I cheer for are near the Rocky Mountains. In fact, the Oilers are the furthest away of those 4 teams. They're a 3-hour drive, 3 to 4 hour drive away from the Rocky Mountains. Vegas is like a few hours. Denver's right in there. Salt Lake City, you can see them from there. And while the Coyotes are in Arizona, they're not far from them either. So Edmonton's actually the furthest. And heck, you can include Calgary in there, and you can see the mountains from Calgary. Not as much as the city's grown and there's more skyscrapers, but if you're on the edge of Calgary, you can see the mountains. So that's just kind of been my idea, and without any further ado, because there's lots ado, let's get into the game tonight between the Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers. Both teams are missing an important player on their team. The Canucks are missing Thatcher Demko, and the Oilers are missing, more notably, Connor McDavid. Never fear for the Canucks. DeSmith has had a good season against the Oilers, like most backup goalies playing the Oilers, and that proved true tonight. He had to be solid very early. As very early into the period, the Oilers hammered DeSmith, and he made a lot of saves, including on a power play when JT Miller goes off for tripping 1 minute and 8 seconds into the first period, but DeSmith remains perfect as the penalty is killed. And so most of the first period is very much in Edmonton's favor. Vancouver manages to get a few more chances in the latter half of the first period, and then there's one play where Ceci has a bad giveaway from behind the net, and it leads to a Canuck having a perfect slot opportunity chance that Skinner makes a huge save on. And it feels very tight, like period's going to end 0-0, but the Oilers have the edge because they've been the better team and all that. Oh, Lafferty scores. It's 1-0 Vancouver with 16 seconds left in the first period. It's Lafferty's 13th goal of the year, and he's assisted by Zadorov and JT Miller. I know some fans would like to blame Nurse. The Sportsnet crew put it on Nurse, and I agree. Nurse's positioning was a little off. Paul Coffey noticed it. You could see him talking to Nurse after it. Yeah, Nurse's positioning was off, absolutely. But I want to stem the tide here. As a lot of people are going to use that. Oh, Nurse, we can blame him again. No, he's been very good. You're allowed to make a mistake, and it's not like he left the guy wide open. It was still a shot. Skinner probably should have saved more often than not. But again, when a guy has lots of time to pick his spot, we're in an era now where almost anybody on the ice is able to snipe it. It's just some guys can snipe it with less room, like Austin Matthews, and Lafferty had decent room and was able to snipe it past Skinner. I still think Skinner would have had it, but Nurse's positioning was off. But I don't think that there was enough reason to blame Nurse. There's one notable annoying Oilers fan who said he is now convinced we should buy out Nurse, which is I'm pretty sure he watches all the games. I don't follow him anymore, and it's led to a lot of happiness. But as far as I'm aware, he watches all the Oilers games, and yet he manages to come out with a contradictory opinion to almost everybody, including myself, every time. And he didn't notice it until BX had pointed it out. He deserves a whole other video, but I'd rather not be super negative. I'd like to dedicate myself to being positive, even in losses. But anyways, first period ends. Shots 13-9 in favor of Edmonton. 1-0 is the more important stat, is 1-0 score for Vancouver. Second period, Edmonton gets another early period power play when Tyler Myers goes off for a high-sticking 17 seconds into the period. The first power play was pretty bad. This one was a little better, but cut short when the Oilers are caught with a bench minor, too many men, at exactly 2 minutes into the second period. And for those next 2 minutes during 4-on-4 and 4-on-5 for the Oilers penalty kill was excellent. They very much stuffed the Canucks, and they had no notable chance at all. It was quite dominant. So for the second period in a row, the Oilers are the better team early in the period, and for the second period in a row, the Canucks score in the second half of the period. This time, it's exactly 11 minutes into the second period. Pius Suter has a nice deflection from Tyler Myers to score his 14th goal of the year. This time, however, the Oilers answer with just over 2 minutes left in the second period. Evander Kane scores his 24th goal of the year, and he's assisted by Connor Brown and Darnell Nurse. And the period ends 2-1 in favor of Vancouver. Shots were 13-12 for the Canucks. Third period comes around, and the Canucks game plan is to just stifle the Oilers, just shut down the game, which isn't usually a good game plan. Usually that backfires because the Oilers are very good at turning it on in the third period, but they struggle to turn it on. Draisaitl did create a few good chances for himself, but they weren't always good enough. He was tripped on a play that I felt he was tripped, but the game goes so fast that I couldn't really tell if he was tripped, and I'm going to trust that the refs had a better view than I did. But from the view I saw, without any replay, it looked like a trip. Wasn't called, though. Not blaming the games on the ref. The refs didn't allow Sam Lafferty to score with 16 seconds in the first period, and he didn't allow Sutter to score either. So I'm not going to blame the refs at all. And no, there is no reason. Well, there's a little reason to, but if you really want, but I don't think you should. But the Oilers, you can tell, are struggling to create. They don't have an issue having the puck, but Vancouver is just playing prevent defense, which usually means prevent winning, but it works out for a while. But Kane's forechecking is able to cause some chances and some opportunities. He plays really well for the shift, including getting an offensive zone takeaway from Tyler Myers, and he's playing excellent. But he plays a little too hard. He's caught for tripping 8 minutes and 14 seconds in. It's a shin-on-shin play. That's usually a dirty play, usually when you see it. And Evander Kane, being more of a grinder, well, he's a very talented with the stick kind of grinder, but he is still a grinder kind of player, an enforcer kind of player. You would usually manage that's on purpose. I don't think that was, because I think if Kane wants to be a jerk, he has other preferred methods than just doing a shin-on-shin play. But it was still a shin-on-shin play initiated by Kane, which is not okay because that leads to a lot of injuries. It's a dangerous play, and then it's an absolutely tripping call. So Vancouver gets a power play opportunity, and this one looked better than the other one, but it wasn't good enough. The puck had a lot of time near the crease for about halfway through, but Skinner makes some big plays, and as does Ekholm, and Ekholm himself eventually clears it, and the power play dies. But as much as the Oilers have the puck for the rest of the period, Vancouver doesn't allow them to really get any good shots. With just under 2 minutes left in the third, down one, there's a fight for the puck, and the Oilers pull the goalie, and it was bad timing because as soon as Skinner gets on the bench, the fight for the puck is won by the Canucks, who score. It's Dakota Joshua scoring his 17th goal of the year, assisted by Connor Garland and Elias Lindholm, and the game eventually ends 3-1. The Oilers do keep Skinner on the bench for the majority of that, as they still try to claw back, even when there was 10 seconds left, which I thought was good, but too little, too late. So third period ends, shots in favor for the Oilers 8-5, but more importantly, Vancouver wins the game 3-1, as mentioned. Shots throughout the whole game were in favor of the Oilers, 33-27. Granted, the Canucks didn't need to do much shooting, as they were in the lead for the vast majority of the game. Very heavy hitting game, 48-39 in favor of the Canucks. Again, that's not to say the Canucks are a more heavy hitting team. It's just the Oilers had the puck a lot. Though this is why I always bring up, I would like to see a stat of hits per time without the puck, or per minute without the puck, kind of stat to see exactly who really has a stronger tendency to hit more. But until then, maybe I could find a time on possession stat, but whatever. Until then, heavy hitting game. Both teams had a ton of hits. So if you like violence, it happened. Though there wasn't any fights and not a lot of penalties either. Vancouver also won in the face-off dot. 53.5% of the face-offs were won by the Canucks. Draisaitl didn't have his best performance in the face-off circle. He's 12 for 27. So you do expect better from him, but you can't expect him to be 50% above 50% every night. He's still one of the best face-off takers in the game. It's just unfortunate that he had one of his bad face-off nights against a team who is pretty good on the face-off, but again, against a team you'd really like to get revenge with, and without McDavid to back you up. Draisaitl didn't necessarily have a bad game. He was able to create a lot by himself. People don't give him credit. He's suffering from the Malkin syndrome of being overshadowed by a generational talent on your same team. But if you want to hate on Draisaitl and say that he benefits off of McDavid, this was one of those nights where you can use that as proof of your claim that I respectfully disagree with. But this wasn't Draisaitl's best night. Both power plays were 0 for 2. Skinner was 24 for 26. I thought he was above average. He was pretty good. Again, he had probably the best save. No, not probably. It was the best save of the game early in the first period, but he wasn't the best goalie. DeSmith was, again, against the Oilers. Yeah, he was 32 for 33. I swear the Oilers has been goalied by like 10 backups this year, and 2 of those were by DeSmith. So I have a couple Canucks fans, and they kept telling me throughout the entire game the Oilers were going to win, and I'm like, what do you mean? I had more faith in the Canucks than my Canucks friends, and unfortunately it paid off for me. And that's not to say I was doubting the Oilers. It was just like, I mean, the Canucks are still a pretty good team. They're capable of winning, and so whatever. Canucks fans confuse me, and I'm sure the Canucks confuse their fans too with all they've gone through the last 2 years. It's been a roller coaster. Roller coaster for the Oilers too this year, but not as up and down. It's just kind of been down and then up kind of thing with a few downs. This was one of those downs. It's now 2 losses in 2 nights. This one I found more disappointing than the Coyotes one, maybe because I have a soft spot for the Coyotes and a hard spot for the Canucks, but you also kind of hope you beat these best teams, and especially without McDavid. McDavid's absence was once again noticeable, but doesn't excuse the Oilers from losing, and I think the Oilers still could have won without McDavid. DeSmith was just in his bag tonight. Canucks had an early win, and credit to them for holding on to the lead the entire game. They did very good in stifling the Oilers' offense. So before I go, the Oilers 3 stars. Third star was Stuart Skinner, 24 for 26. And again, that big, amazing save he had in the first period. Second star was Vinny Desharnais. Excellent penalty kill and excellent 5-on-5 defense. As usual, he had a hit and 2 blocks in 18 minutes and 2 seconds of ice time. And the first star for the Oilers, you guessed it, was Evander Kane. He had a goal, 4 hits, and 19 minutes and 54 seconds of ice time. He had more ice time than he usually has had lately, and he deserved it. He was definitely one of the more effective players, and he, in all but the literal sense, was a fighter tonight. I mean, he is a fighter in that literal sense too, but that didn't happen. He tried. He didn't like a hit that Soucy put on him, and he tried to fight Soucy for that, but I don't blame Soucy for saying no. One, because I wouldn't want to fight Evander Kane, and 2, you're up 2-0. You probably don't want to give the other team an opportunity to gain some momentum. But Evander Kane got momentum anyways by scoring himself. So, first star to Evander Kane, not just for the goal and the 4 hits, but being a fire starter for the Oilers when there wasn't much fire starting going on. So I wouldn't call it a bad game for the Oilers, just a not good enough game and a bad result. They played good, but were outperformed in the net again. And again, not because our goalie was bad, just the other goalie. Hey, yeah, this is 2 nights and 2 losses in a row to a backup goalie who makes 30-plus saves against the Oilers. Anyways, yeah. I don't want to play backup goalies. That's why I like the playoffs. Backup goalies aren't usually played, except when Vegas played their backup goalie against the Oilers, and guess what? That worked out, because if you're playing the Oilers, just play your backup goalie. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it. Comment your thoughts below about the channel. Sorry, I knocked the screen and the camera as a result. Comment below your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. And subscribe and turn on notifications for more. I will see you soon, not just for Oilers reviews, but previews for the playoffs, as we have one matchup set, and other statistical analysis. That's it for tonight. Have a great rest of your day, morning, night, wherever you're at in your day, and I will see you when I see you next.